Yes, I. Welcome to another episode of the Perfect Balance Church Class, a place where conscious and like minded individuals are guided towards their full potential, the realization of their full potential through collective reasoning. We have with us today Yaga, aka Teacher Ma'at, Pingi,
Give thanks for life.
Okavango,
Yes, sir.
Well,
and I'm yours truly, Ras Dada. We are the Perfect Balance Church Class. Um, how do you them?
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
give
give
thanks,
thanks.
Yes, I do give thanks forward into a new dispensation of time according to the Gregorian calendar, 2026. So it's what is referred to commonly as a new year, a time when people talk about um, resolutions and how they're going to change and improve their lifestyles and conditions. So I hope that all the resolutions that have been made by the people are ones that they will stick to and ones that they will strive towards achieving as long as it's for a betterment of themselves and the collective human race. Um, we see a lot of stuff going on so far this year, and I believe we want to start off by looking now as some more details have emerged through this U.S. Venezuela strike conflict. Don't know what term we want to use to describe it, but some more information has emerged. I believe the information most currently is that they brought Maduro, President Maduro, and his wife into New York sometime last night or yesterday, sometime yesterday, under heavy law enforcement presence. And I believe there is plans for them being arraigned sometime next week. So I believe they're moving forward with the legal process um, ASAP as soon as possible. What do you them say about all of this now?
what non talk?
Yeah.
I mean, me try to fix up something.
So for me, is all goes on as before. You know, the we knew why this happened, right? But to hear the president say why it happened is even more concerning, right? You extract somebody, you remove somebody, you destabilize a country based on you wanting to gain all their resources, nothing else. And you blatantly said that, right? But we live in a world today beyond that sovereignty is not respected anymore, right? Even though you see or think you're a sovereign nation, you you you're being bullied. Your sovereignty is not respected. The way your people want to live right now, freedom is kind of out the door. It's do as I say or else, and that is what is happening here. But it's happening so undiplomatically. There's no rule, there's no law, there's no justice involved. And that is the problem. We move it, we as human beings right now are reverting our condition. We're becoming less human in our thinking when we see this kind of action, right? And how we view people's lives, their freedom. It means you don't see people as people. You see them as assets within the system that you govern, right? So because they're just assets, everything else is out the door, whether it's tradition, culture, respect. It's just pure imperialism at work, man. The people are on their knees. And this is a demonstration of what is going to continue to happen, because people have the power and until they realize they have the power. Imagine if a man come in your home and say, hey, I removing you. I'm going to run your household now. But what if everybody in that household decided to strike on that person? What if everybody collaboratively get together and actually resist? What would happen to that house? You would have no house to run. You would have nothing to manage. So even in all of this, there's still an opportunity here for the people to do what they have to do, which is band together collectively and resist.
True.
It's resistance because it's in your benefit as well. Because think about what is happening as well. You remove a president, the same institution that was there is still there, right? The person who you put in charge right now, who is now the president, is also resisting. She too is resisting. She's like, you must release him. We now working with you. So where do we go from here now? What's next then? Because remember, the person that you now put in charge of this country is also saying, "Hey, I support the man you just take. We only have one president. This is chaos. This right here is chaos. But the people, more than anything else, if they understand what's going on and band together, they can resist this. It's resistance.
Hmm. So what did
Uh,
I say, Yaga? As stated by the UN. As stated by the UN. Mm. Mm. They're not enforceable against certain people.
Grenada. Hmm. Hmm.
Yaga, not to interrupt there, but I think we're having an issue because I'm checking on the YouTube feed as well, and we're not seeing or hearing you on the YouTube feed. Yeah. So, okay. So we're not seeing or hearing you on the YouTube feed. Okay. All right. Yeah. Um, he fell off a couple minutes ago as well. Hmm. Yeah. So valid points you're bringing up. I don't know if the viewers heard it, so we're gonna say that just to reiterate some of the things you said. You were saying that this historically in this region has been a common action of the U.S. and you cited examples such as um, Cuba, the situations with Cuba, the situation with Grenada, Panama, just to name a few. And you're saying that it's just we're in a situation where even though the UN states it's a rule-based system, it seems that the rules only apply to certain people. And as long as you have the power or resources to uh, have military or take military action against certain things, then it's almost as if you're free to do whatever you wish to do. Um, Bingy, it's a as we were saying earlier, that is a sad situation, really and truly. And we we we, we have to understand, that you see, the earth runs off of a few people. Well, not the earth, the world, right? The
Right.
world
Very
runs
good
off of a
correction.
few people,
Yes.
right? Who have certain desires, certain motives of control, domination, um, managing resources, and
It's called
basically
power, brother.
power,
Called
right?
power.
So what they've done is they've established certain guidelines and certain agendas that they wish to accomplish within certain times, right?
Mhm.
So we see in this situation where the US has decided to take this strike against Venezuela. We saw the same thing when the US took their strikes against Iraq. They use it under the WMD rationale,
Well,
right?
right. For
Where
Iraq.
where eventually we didn't see any evidence coming forth to verify that these Iraqi people had any WMDs.
Right.
But nonetheless, they still went in there, destabilized the country, overthrew the leadership, and now that country is going through a struggle of getting getting back on its feet. Right? We see where now they've done the same thing here, which they have labeled this man a
Narco terrorists.
narco terrorist. So I'm waiting to see if there will be any evidence to support these claims as well.
Yeah, but that
Well,
was the pretext. That was the pretext and the weapon that they used to go in, just
Mm-hmm.
like in
In
Iraq.
Iraq, right?
Yeah, and it was a similar fate. My surprise with this is that Maduro, he walked easily. I don't know why he walked so easily, and he seems happy and smiling. I don't know what happened, because we could see these Chinook helicopter flying over Venezuela, and there was no retaliation. And we know that they've got air defense system that they get from the Soviet or Russia.
mhm.
So I don't know if there is any complicity from the Iraqi military, or they've got an arrangement to let this happen, because there was no retaliation to the extent where US is bragging about the precision and accuracy of of the action.
But again, this is nothing new in keeping it just in Latin America, right? Think about what has happened to Latin American countries specifically, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Panama, whether it's Nicaragua, it's
Whether it's Chile, whether
Chile,
it's Peru,
Bolivia. The intervention of the U.S. historically within Latin America has been unjustified in every which way, because every president that they have removed, or government that they have toppled, and we call it toppled, they, nothing has improved. The same people, most of the times that you see that they supported, end up turning against them, right? And we use probably Nicaragua as that. When you put a man in power, and in 5 years time you decide, hey, we don't want him no more, because now he said, I don't want to deal
Noriega.
with all it. Yeah, Noriega. Yeah. So we have seen this happen, but here's the problem. We have these so-called things that they call law that we were speaking about, or rules, right? There are no rules for these people. We might say there are rules, but based on the history and the evidence that we have right now. There is no rules for these people. These rules don't apply to them. So remember this.
Mm.
If a rule don't apply to everybody, right? You're gonna always have opposition. Until there's equality, you're always gonna have opposition roots. This is gonna continue happening.
So
There's
this
no way you don't have rules. I could break every international law or no.
this
It
brings
doesn't work like that.
this brings
It
me
doesn't
to the
work like that.
point. This brings me to the point I was trying to make earlier, where we've looked at the systems which were govern the earth. Primarily before capitalism, we had the economic system of slavery, right? Once they implemented the Emancipation Act, or they eradicated this practice of slavery legally, they replaced it with capitalism, right? So what we saw under capitalism was that those people who were key players in the system of slavery basically established stronger militaries because they were able to develop and strengthen their resources during this practice. They had wealth, so they had stronger militaries, right? And those people who were on the other spectrum of this system weren't given anything. So they weren't able to develop militaries. They weren't able to develop proper
Right.
defense systems to be able to stand on this newly found sovereignty that they had gained, right? So what we see now is that those people who had these defense systems established are the same ones who basically dominate today because they have the military power to do so. Only a few, and I think probably like a China or like an India or these countries that are now just um,
Developing.
rising,
Yeah.
developing, that they're also looking towards developing their military as well, so that they're able to withstand these types of
threats
interactions, right?
and
Right.
interventions.
You
Yeah,
understand?
Right.
So we see that even that has played even a direct result, and they refer to these people commonly in the geopolitical scene as the global south. So most of the people who are part of the global south are not able to defend themselves against things like this. And everyone knows this. And this is why I keep referring to the collective security policy, which was established ages ago, but
But what
seems
does
like
that do?
no
What does
one
that
seems
do?
it what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to prevent things like this from happening. That's what it's
Yeah.
supposed to do.
So again,
Right.
Ras,
Hmm.
the question is, what does it do? Nothing, because this is still happening.
It doesn't. It
That
doesn't.
doesn't do nothing because it's still happening.
It doesn't do anything, Bingy, because the people who are supposed to do something about it choose not to because they are allied to the people that
Right.
are taking these actions. So once we stop looking at this from the point of view, okay, this is my friend, or we have these dealings with this person, then if they do something, I can't say anything about it or do anything about it. We have to deal with it from the point of view of this is something that is against in the international convention, and therefore, because it's against it, we have to oppose it. It
Ras,
doesn't matter who it is.
what I'm saying, no, based on the history that we have,
Hmm.
U.S. intervention just in Latin America, for example.
Hmm.
I'm saying these things is smoke screens.
Right.
They mean nothing to the person who is in power. It doesn't matter what you have. It's, for example, they have something called the ICC, the
Hmm.
International Courts, right? Criminal courts or whatever. The US doesn't even recognize that. So what do these bodies that they put in place for so-called, what do they really do? For example, right now, this is happening. Why can't this international body with laws do something effectively? Moving troops on the ground, whatever it is that you're
Ag-
supposed to be doing, you're not doing
Again,
that. So in the
you
face of
have to
all of
follow the
this,
money,
in the
Bingy.
advent of all of this, it's not meaning anything.
Bingy, the reason why it doesn't mean anything is because of the corruption that's attached to these
But
organizations.
that's the
All right,
problem.
Donna.
Because because they are connected, whether um,
So what do we
economically
do?
through.
How do we correct that then?
We
How do
talk
we
Okay,
about
correct
that's an
that?
allies.
excellent question.
See, we talk about allies, and there are allies of Venezuela,
Hmm.
China,
Hmm.
and Russia. And the ordinary people like us is looking on and said, okay, they've got strategic alliance with them. They've got a lot of economic alliance and partnership and development agreement. But we were looking to see
Hmm. Hmm.
them showing some backbone apart from the symbolic denouncing of the fact that
Right.
this is unacceptable. We the other people were looking, but I guess it is a bit more technical and we're oversimplifying it than it is. What do I them think about that?
Yeah. Now hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear. Yeah.
Yeah, me know what
Welcome.
going me know what going a while ago. Yeah, I just say you got we can oversimplify them thing the one thing then the whole geopolitical thing, because a place like China and Russia, them want to do the same thing like what US want to do, because them are just the people them who see themselves on top. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Hmm.
them are got you gotta hear some rhetoric, but this we feel like do for them is like give them the you know what I mean, the
It
leeway,
emboldened them.
embolden them to go in. So I feel like in short time, may I hear something in the background?
Oh,
In
Yeah.
short
go on.
time, we are gonna see China and make a move on Taiwan, even though Taiwan is technically a part of China, but you're gonna see them make a move on Taiwan, and this even embolden Russia to maybe attack more countries around them, because this is what the US is doing. They are what they call it, the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah.
If I'm not lying, the Monroe Doctrine will set them free, dominate all them all of their hemisphere,
It,
Mm-hmm.
right?
it says
So,
taught.
huh?
Taught. The Monroe Doctrine says taught your enemy. Taught. The word taught meaning antagonize, that the
Okay,
Monroe Doctrine.
all right.
Oh,
So
taunt.
Yeah, yeah, but they
yeah,
call it taught.
thought okay.
THAWRT. Taught. You taught you.
And
Right.
But
this
Provoke them.
doctrine teaches them to dominate their hemisphere. So all countries around them should be under their leadership, right? So I'm saying China and Russia would want to impose the same thing in their hemisphere,
Trump
where they are
came out with a
dominated.
new model.
Huh?
Trump came out with a new model of the Monroe Doctrine or the Trump doctrine, where he's trying not to extend to war and all get involved in all these wars out of
But
fear, to control within his sphere, our hemisphere.
yeah, but what I really want to say is that, yeah, I look on the whole thing and yeah, watch it, what's happening, and it's kind of, you have this feeling of like a little sadness, or a little, you feel like it's a defeat, or it's a loss or something like that, and wonder why you feel this way, and because we feel like because we're in this fight where we are fight the fight of fighting the men up top, or the people up top, the small man fighting against the big man, the hero fighting against the bully, and just feel like it's a victory for the bully. That feel like a victory for the villain them, and it just kind of put in a position, because sometimes we feel like we are fight the fight, and we are get somewhere. Things changing, and this is like it feel like a couple step back, like we're going back in time, like the fight start all over again. That's how it kind of feel, because
You said you said that it kind of emboldened them to
mm,
make similar moves or incursion, but I don't think that is the goal that Russia had in mind for regime change. I don't think that was the goal they had in mind. But it when they carry out their special military operation, as they call it. Neither China believe in solving matters diplomatically, but I'm sure they are watching on and see what they can take from this and how this will affect them because they've got investment in Venezuela as well. But I think in terms of
Mhm.
sanctions and tariff, I think that is probably a deterrent for
Yeah,
Russia
but
because they are afraid of more sanctions,
yeah,
and China is mindful of the tariffs and how it affects their economy. So I think that might have played a role as well. And in addition to Russia being bogged down in Ukraine, it can't take on nothing more.
that I want to think. But we are saying about we're saying about regime change. Russia had to want regime change because remember, it's a regime change in Ukraine while Russia attack Ukraine, because they take out the legitimate president and put in Zelensky. Remember that's what happened. You know what I
I don't
mean?
think that's quite so, though. I don't think
Mm.
it's a regime change because they would have gone after the city where he is, and they've never made an attempt on the city. But because people who speak the language in
Mm-hmm.
Donbass were being attacked since the last 10 years, that's the premise on which they went in on.
Yeah, but we know said that is just it's just like US saying Venezuela pushing drugs in their country. Is the same
So,
thing.
so is it so
They just
difficult?
find something to say that. But the real thing is they change America push out the president of Ukraine that was Russia friendly and put in this president that is West friendly, and they have to do
Yeah,
something
but
about
there
that.
was a president before Zelensky. And
Mm-hmm.
when Zelensky came in, he said actually he was in support of Russia, but then his head turned. So I don't know what happened there. But the point that I'm trying to make is that why is it so difficult for them to implement that strategy then if that's what they wanted to do in the last 4 years since they've gone with this military operation?
But remember that Russia is not just fighting against Ukraine, they're fighting against the whole West.
NATO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
the
All
whole
right.
West.
That
So
that 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 have
it's
a
a it's
point.
a it's
Good
a big
point. Good
fight,
point.
right? And the Venezuela situation is really just Venezuela and they going up against because the item I wonder why it was so easy. I mean, you're going up against the biggest army, the most advanced army. You know what I mean? They have all the equipments, all the intel. So
But air defense
So
system
again,
is
again,
automatic.
though, for
Air defense
countries,
system is automatic.
but for countries who look on these so-called allies, right, as
mhm.
allies in the region economically or in defense, because some of these countries do have um, um,
Interest.
trade interests as far as weaponry, buying ammunitions, all of that stuff, right? And you're looking at your ally, though. What does an ally really mean in this world? Like in this world that
Nothing.
is set up, what does it mean in this system?
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
When we look at so again,
Nothing.
I,
It's
it
like the
comes
rules
back.
thingy. and the,
Yes.
and the
So
organization that are
you
supposed to
have
defend the
what
people.
does it mean?
Every
Uh,
man for themselves.
and when it comes
Adrian, man.
to other countries like that say they are allies, I think USA is maybe the only country where you see would put
Go all out for them
militarily like
allies.
like a military help to them allies. The rest is just it's just really talk. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm
Them
saying.
yeah, it's just really
It
talk.
needs to be studied.
It's talk.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
lot of
yeah.
lip
It
service.
needs to be studied.
There's a lot of
Because
lip service
you
going
see,
on.
US I give arms to Israel. Let's say then give arms to Ukraine.
Taiwan.
Whoever needed arms to Taiwan. You know what I mean? Even though that is business. But you know what I mean, you don't really see it and the other from the other
No.
people. They don't really do
You
that.
don't see Russia sending in troops anywhere to help the
No.
so-called allies, right? You don't
Yeah.
really see that.
And that show the power that the US have. They have so much that they can lend some over there and here. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah, man,
but
the
but not
US
only that,
badness.
I see it as being an ally as well, right? In that sense, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? If you ally with
Yeah.
somebody, you defending the same principles that they defend, because you're not gonna ally with someone that is just based somewhere along the line. There's an agreement happening, right? And you decide you're gonna back these people. So whoever you decide to back, you truly back them instead of just lip service, like you show up. It's like Cuba. Cuba is so reputable and honorable. When they say, "Hey, I'm going to help," what they do, they send boots on the ground.
Yes, man.
You talking about a little country,
So
little. That's
I
what an ally is supposed to do. So again, in the
I
face of all of this happening, who really is your ally?
I was
Well, the
watching
big
the
man said, he said that Colombia president needs to watch his back. And I'm sure Greenland and Canada, the 51st state, is watching this closely because he said he's coming to get them also. So all these countries that he said he's going to get, and he wants what he wants and likes what he likes, I'm sure they are shaking and on the phone trying to make some deals with him before it's too late. Because I think that's what happens to Maduro.
so I think based on what we see happen, it's something that we have been saying. It's something that is been talked about, but based on this action by the US, is no, you don't have to wonder again. This is they are imperialists. You know what I mean? They are. I think they're honing it now that they are imperialists. You know what I mean? They are. You know what I mean? All about going into people country in people countries and our people land and take out the wealth to benefit them. You know what I mean? So it's like a hero that we think that was gone is our people think that was gone because it never really gone and nowhere. You know what I mean? But it's very evident now, like there's no going around it now. It's that imperialist power. Just like the Greeks, just like the Romans, just like the
But
English.
here's the kicker to all of that, right? You want to run somebody's country, but you can't run your own country, right? You have turmoil within your own country. Your government really is in shambles, right? Policies are in shambles. You can't do that at home. But again, there's a silver lining for the people, the people have to realize this is theirs and they still hold the power. The
Smoke
people on
screen
the
dingy.
ground, you could shut down any economic system
It's
as a
smoke screen.
people band together. Listen, solidarity is what the people have to be thinking right now. If you are Venezuelan, you think in solidarity. How do we move on in a system that we see fit for us? That's how they have to. They're the ones who have to make the choice at the end of the day, even though all of this is happening. And I think we've seen that all everywhere else, that these people have gone and intervened in government affairs. The people ultimately decide. You
Uh,
figure it out, and that's how it works.
Even though I'm against imperialists, I was watching, you know what I mean, the
Why you
reaction
say
of
no?
the, I'm gonna tell you. I was watching
Alright.
the reaction of, you know what I mean, the governments and the people around the world, people from, you see Russia condemn, you know what I mean. I was watching what the Europeans gonna say, and most of them was like, you know what I mean, they beat around the bush and didn't say what they're really
No
supposed to say. No,
condemnation.
no
Yeah.
condemnation. So even though, as I said, even though I condemn the imperialists, I hope that, as Yaga said, Greenland is the next move because that would be right in Europe, right?
Right.
Yes, I
Right.
hope that
Right.
Greenland, just like we go off of Venezuela and say that he's going to run
Mm-hmm.
Venezuela. You know what I mean? We
Mm-hmm.
think that those times were past when country go in country and take over and take out the leaders and arrest them. I guess they're going to charge him for treason now because just like the bygone era. You know what I mean? But I hope that Greenland is the next move. So it will be right on those Europeans' doorstep. Yeah.
Yes, I. So no, them say because of drugs, narco terrorism, why them going there. But we know that Venezuela is not the highest producing drug pushing country in the region. So that is a pretext as far as I and I is concerned. So what I them think is behind this, really, the real reason behind this action, because it has been building up for weeks where they have blockades and they've been shooting down fishermen for
But the
weeks.
action clear though. The
Listen,
president say what he
So
say
that is why
why.
I cannot understand how the man made them come and hold him so easy without a
No
shot fire,
man.
because all the signs were there that this is gonna happen. You're at war. You're in a state of war.
man, you know, wanted Yaga.
The
The
man is
military man them,
hiding.
Yeah, you
the
know,
He
man, the
wanted.
hiding.
military man them complicit.
Yeah.
No, because we come so and look pan the big old army and look pan your little army. You see, they say I just time before no dead off.
Man, death before the sun, I know,
And
man. Yeah, so
every
Ukraine man
man
them a fight.
and every man said that. And every man said that.
To the last man standing, and so Ukraine man them
But
say,
about the
Yeah,
drugs
but
thing,
I think in Maduro defense this is the perfect action. Why should you as a president have to hide from the US within your country?
right?
You have certain diplomatic rights. You have international so-called law that protects you. That means they could go in and listen to the speech of our president. That means they could go in
Who's
anywhere
that?
and do this
Who's
at
that being gay?
any time.
Who's that being gay?
Huh?
Who's that?
Uh, the
You
president said in
said
the
our
speech.
president.
Oh. So
they're not, they're not former president, man.
right. So the president said that they could go in anytime and take out anybody. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
You
Yaga, go finish me, gay.
yeah. So that means nobody has any right to do anything. I could go in anytime, anywhere, and do anything. Right?
Yeah,
That's just the reality. But Yaga, besides that, we know why they're there, right? There's no question why they're there.
yeah,
And they're going to always do this. They're always going to come for you when they need what they need. And we've seen that resources. But again, this how do we change this as a world body? Like do these institutions who call themselves governing powers, the United Nations, CARICOM, how does CARICOM respond to this? Like what do they do? They what do they do? They voice their opinion and then what it gets shrugged off.
yeah,
When do these organizations become meaningful roots?
yeah. But before we go to CARICOM, Bengi, more answer that, Yaga, 'cause him bring up the drugs thing, right? And more I say, US is calling Venezuela, even call Mexico and Colombia. They say they're pushing drugs in their country. The biggest drug traffickers is the US. There's no bigger drug trafficker than the US. You know what I mean? There's no bigger gun smuggler than the US. Because
Mm.
all of those drugs, they are coming somewhere. They're coming to the US. The drugs from Venezuela, the drugs from Colombia, the drugs from Mexico, from Afghanistan, from China is coming to the US. Right? United States people has to be involved in that. Because we'll check it out, the people in Colombia are people in anywhere that the drugs is made. They're not making the real money from the drugs. It's made in America. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So is a really a demand in the US that keep the market
So you
going.
have the cartels,
So you have
in America that is
the big
in
people
charge
them
of this
over
also.
here who have the money or whatever. And them are getting the drugs because the little people them in Colombia, they're not really making no money off drugs like that.
Yeah, but drugs is a part of most economies,
Yeah,
though. Drugs
it's a big
is
part of the
part
American.
of
That's why there's
most
so much.
economies in the world. Like you talking about trillions of dollars, right? And especially in this part of the world too, right? The type of drugs, right?
Yeah,
So how do you stop things like that? We know that. Listen, there have no war
they
on
don't want to
drugs.
profit.
Nobody again. It don't have any of that. That's all an illusion.
But
War
just
on
the other
drugs, all
day,
that stuff is an illusion.
he freed a convicted drug pusher who was
As
a president for
The Honduran former
Honduras.
president.
Honduran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right.
what?
So that to show is not about no drugs.
It's not
Him not
drugs.
It's not about
serious.
no
Him not
drugs.
really
Yeah.
serious. Him
Unless
not
they call
really
him,
serious.
unless they call crude oil is not classified as drugs.
Yeah.
Sweet crude.
Sweet crude.
It's like,
Well, I think
Jano.
basically because of the history we've seen from them as well, because there's that infamous photo of the military guarding the poppy fields in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So we know that even though they may have a different motive in terms of oil, we
mm-hmm.
know that another byproduct or by benefit of this in action is going to be drugs as well. So
We lose half of Maduro still because the man has been posturing in a military fatigue weeks. And I'm seeing
No, but
one of the time I see my
again,
brandish a
Yaga,
wicked piece of
I think
sword,
a leader shouldn't have
a
to hide
nice
in
piece
his
of
own
sword to see
country.
man come out and say, yo, we will defend this to the last. Jano.
No, man. Yo, no leader should have to hide in their own country like that, Groot.
Yeah, but
No,
him should
no.
have just build, man. I see him thing the man them do to Saddam. Saddam used to pastor as well and I run off him out and I say, oh, any man coming at this, when the man then hold Saddam like Saddam and I check in tooth for in dental formula. Saddam say, yo, look around and so you see what I want down there, you miss a teeth down there so. To verify my identity. Me lose half of them Rasta. The man them should have put up some resistance, you know?
Hmm. Nah.
I don't really say go still like Yaga.
No.
I don't really say go
No.
because
No.
what then should I say? What then should I say?
Mm-mm.
Well,
Then after faster.
just negotiate then. Just get on the phone and talk to the man because Trump is a man who will
But you
negotiate.
can't negotiate with who no want to negotiate with you.
Trump negotiate with everybody. The man negotiate with King Jong-un. He man negotiate with the man from
Okay,
Syria, you
so
know.
then negotiate with Kim Jong Un and what's the end result of it?
King,
Everything
Nothing.
King
remain the
Jong-un not take talk from
everything remain the
people.
same. Everything remain the same.
King Jong-un not take talk from people.
He negotiate with the Syria and what going to Syria now. You know that Syria broke
King,
out right now though, right? You know that.
yeah, man. Then
Okay.
that way, some man,
That
anywhere
can't
them go, man, and that happen, man, and
them
that
thing they
man,
can't
that
hold
end result
Virgin
there.
because what them do them push out Assad to put in this youth, yeah, which is a terrorist, but them is a fight against,
Right.
Right? It don't go hold. It was
Because
never
in
gonna
that
hold.
situation, the army did stand down. The Syrian army did stand down. That's why I may have the opinion that the Venezuelan army stood down as well. And they had an agreement to make the vice president
Personally,
the acting president based on the constitution because she's the next person in line.
I don't know if you see the reports that come out. But the first place where people when them attacking now is the army of Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, them just go in and just start bomb the army and suppress them. And then
Yeah, but
and then at the same time, them a move towards Maduro. It was a coordinated, well
yeah,
Of
planned
but
out
they
course.
must
attack,
have seen, they must have picked that up before. They must have seen
Yeah, but yeah,
on
talk
their
as if
radar.
Venezuela like them have the same technology as America and the same equipment and same, I mean, at the same level of combat. They are not, and that's what's evident.
The air defense system, where them have a good air defense system.
Oh,
So,
Venezuela,
yeah, man,
you
them
know,
have decent air defense system.
obviously,
It,
based on what
it
happened,
wasn't good enough for the
it
stealth.
wasn't good enough for what them face.
Not
Well,
for the
they should have
stealth.
stopped fostering and upgrade the system then. And get on the phone.
No,
Get on
nah.
the
It
phone.
ain't
But
about
Get
none
but
on the
of
phone
that.
and
Yaga.
talk to Donald
Yaga.
Trump because he's
but
either gonna use force, sanction, or tariff to get you on the phone.
but based
So
on what
when
he
it
was saying,
happens,
I don't know if I saw his last interview that he was doing with Chinese, and he was saying that he was on the phone with them,
With who? On the phone with who?
with Trump, with what's his name, Rubio or
Maduro,
whatever. Yeah,
You,
yeah, he
who
was on the
was
phone
on
with
the
them.
phone?
it's too
Maduro.
late.
Yeah,
It's too late. The
no,
plan is
but
already in
they don't
action.
listen. What he have to have, they don't want that. They want everything. It was
That's what they
look
want,
here, what
everything.
negotiate. The only negotiation they was gonna take is like you give up the whole country and let us come in.
You move out.
Yeah.
You move out.
And once him now,
Or we move
I'm
you
not
out.
gonna say that. So the only thing is
Right.
we
Yeah,
have to
no.
take him out.
Mm.
Understand?
But the
Is that?
regime is still in place, so I don't know. Well, the man say if him have to go in again,
But how
him
long?
have to, if him have to go in again, it's gonna be even more serious than this. So I don't know if the threat is working or the president who is acting now
Based
But
on
based on it,
is gonna conform
mm,
or maintain
mm,
the line that they have been maintaining. So let's see how it develops and what comes out of it.
based on history, we know
mm.
that regime change never work. We can look all over the world and see where any country went in and do some kind of regime change, especially after World War II. It never worked. The countries always worse off after a regime change. You know what I mean? So I see Venezuelans celebrating and you know what I mean in the street and say they're happy for this. You know what I mean? But they have to look on history. You know what I mean? And history said this is a bad thing for Venezuelans. You know what I mean? That's what history say. So
There's also a lot of opposition as well, and there are
Yes, yes,
protests all
yes.
over in Latin America condemning this action. So
and
let's
I
see
think
the protests.
it should be condemned. It should be condemned. One thing I saw a lot of U.S. politicians, well, mostly Democrats, condemn. They condemn the action. They say it was unlawful. You know what I mean? It was unconstitutional. But
But it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. These things happen under
Under
both
both regime.
governments. So it
yeah,
doesn't matter. You
First
know?
of all, you extract a president, bring him to your country to try him in your country, right?
and
Like,
rules that you made up.
and
If
this
I
is
do that,
justice,
Bingy,
right? This is justice.
if I do that, what would you call that?
Well, that is, for sure, that is kidnapping.
So
One,
what's the
right?
difference in this situation?
Is the same. Is no
It is
difference.
kidnapping.
It's
It's
kidnapping.
kidnapping. So why are they
Yeah.
calling it capture?
Well. That is the term they're using. Capture. So I'm using the term captured. you
Who controls the
Yeah,
media
no.
controls the rhetoric, you know?
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I
they,
mean,
they,
listen.
they are
It is
using the
what it
word
is. But it's so
arrested too. They're using arrested.
right.
And they are
We
saying that
hope.
Maduro is not the legitimate president of Venezuela in the first place. He's just
Well,
a
who
president
is?
of a
Because
cartel.
he
Who
was
is?
supposed to be sworn in. He was supposed to be sworn in on January the 10th.
Yeah, but who
Maduro.
is the legitimate president? The opposition leader.
Well,
And if the
well,
I
opposition
guess.
leader, if the opposition leader is the legitimate president, why didn't they put him in power then? Why did they go to the vice president and give the vice president power? If you and remember, the U.S. supported the opposition. The U.S. said that he was Muriato
The president.
was the rightful president. All right, so now we have the opportunity to put him in power. Why haven't
and
they
before
done
that,
that?
But it seems like
before that, it was one guy though.
Yeah, why didn't they do
Anybody
that?
remember one guy though?
right. But I'm saying it seems like they only took Maduro because as soon as Maduro left, the parliament met and the vice president became the president. It was she wasn't put in place by the US,
No, she
Is
was put
Because
in
that is
place
the
by
succession
yes,
plan.
right. So
right,
and she's calling for the return of Maduro. So
right.
I'm saying it's not really a regime change because you are saying that you are going to run the country, but there's still a president
Oh,
there. You know what I mean? So you have to get rid of all that regime before you can say you're going to run. And
everybody,
right now it's just
everybody.
so confusing. It's like I don't
Let's
know.
see. Let's wait and see the deals and the arrangement that is going to be coming out of this because it's still playing out and it's still early. But we hope the people of Venezuela will benefit from their resources and they will rise out of poverty. We'll see education improve. We'll see their health care improve. I will see their social services improve and they start benefiting from the services because Venezuela is one of the countries that has got the highest reserve of oil out of most of the oil producing countries. And I don't hear OPEC is saying anything either. So that's another set of ally on a different
Are
front.
they a part of OPEC?
Yeah, man. Plus OPEC plus.
You sure?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. They are
Yeah,
part of
I believe
OPEC
they are.
plus.
I, okay, I don't remember there
All
being a
oil
part of
producing country.
Hmm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So we spoke a lot about Venezuela. I think it's time we circle Africa now, because we talk a lot on this Venezuela
So me,
situation.
me, 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 me go round up Cine first because we not touching it. The CARICOM, so those left and go Africa since we're not the region.
Well, go
Because so we
Yeah.
ahead.
are talking about
What is Sky?
the response from the Trinidadian Prime Minister.
Well, I believe the Prime Minister gave a response condemning the act, right? And also saying that they had nothing to do with that, right? But
Too late. Too
it's
late because
little
they
too
were in
late
support.
because
They were in support all
I think
along.
it was an insult to CARICOM, first of all, for you to even give them logistical
Support,
opportunity.
Support.
support,
When
yeah.
yeah, whether it's a non-militarily or but you can't say it's non-military because it is for the military. It's for
Yeah.
military usage, right? But you're saying that as a base to launch an attack. Understood, but I think you should band together if you're in a group. And again, what do these you alliances really mean around the earth? We have to keep questioning. Because if you have been in an alliance and you're in the Caribbean community, why aren't you standing in solidarity with
Because
the rest of leaders within CARICOM?
people
That
have
becomes a
different interests.
question.
They
And it's
have
just
different interests.
No,
and
but you on this instance, if everybody else again, you're a unified group, you are a group working towards the betterment of the people within your region, right? For example, right? Through trade, economic development, whatever. All of us decide, hey, we're not going to do this. Why you as a lone person decides, hey, I'm going to do this. Then you break that unified understanding.
understanding.
Trinidad went
You
rogue,
break that
Rasta.
unified
Yeah,
understanding because now when the time comes, we see what you're gonna do. You can
and
be like, "This
she
you."
had some harsh criticism towards CARICOM saying that they were
Yes,
moving in the wrong
in the
direction.
wrong direction.
Yeah. She has some hard criticism. I mean, CARICOM has been working as a block, you know what I mean, for a while, and for her to just break rank like that
Bad.
and side with the US who were doing illegal stuff, going against international law, you know what I
Hmm.
mean.
Hmm.
And then, but after the capture of Maduro, she was like, "Oh, I had nothing
Then
to
you
do
put
with
out
it."
a statement.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that
need
was kind of crazy.
a commission of inquiry in Trinidad so we can have a better understanding of what took place and what led to this decision where they went rogue and break away from CARICOM and take this unilateral action.
I think
Self-preservation.
her thing was her thing was Venezuela
So,
threatened Guyana, who is a part of CARICOM. So that was her thing. And because of the influx of people leaving Venezuela and going into Trinidad too. And she was like, they are, I mean, part of the crime spike in Trinidad. So she's blaming all of that on the
Whatever
Venezuelans.
happened to diplomacy?
Yeah, so she basically doing the same thing as America, blaming crime on people leaving Venezuela to come to America. She
and
basically the
listen,
same thing.
and listen, even if you were to say that is true, right? Even if you were to make that assumption and say, hey, we noticed that crime has risen since you had an influx of whoever come into your country, whatever. What does that have to do with you align yourself with the US on this instance though. You've never really had diplomatic strained relationship with Venezuela prior to this, right?
Right.
Because the former government, based on their relationship with the country, opened their doors towards Venezuelan citizens coming
Yeah, man.
for relief. What they probably didn't have in place was a concrete plan. Well, what do you do with these people when they stay here longer than XYZ time with limited resources, right? But you've had that diplomatic relationship. So what changed? What really changed to make you go rogue?
And Venezuela has always had friendly relations with CARICOM, with all of
Always,
CARICOM. You know what I
always,
mean?
always,
Because
always.
I remember in the days when they were giving like Jamaica the cheapest oil. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that was extended right through the
Under the
CARICOM.
Petro Carry program
Yeah,
initiative.
man.
Yeah. And
It was
Trinidad has
just scrapped a few
always
years
done
ago.
business with Venezuela based on the oil industry,
Yeah.
being the
So what
second
is the rest
largest
of
producer
CARICOM
in the
saying?
region. So,
Anything from the rest of CARICOM or the Secretariat?
They
no.
said
And
they're gonna have a meeting. They're gonna meet and
Okay,
discuss. So I guess they're gonna have like one unified statement.
makes
right.
sense.
But I guess because Trinidad is not a part or
They
not with
put out a
CARICOM,
statement first.
yeah, they gave out their own statement.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that is that. So well, left a region now and go Africa.
Where we go in
You said
Africa?
that?
Yes, sir. So I want to talk about this news break in the week and from Somaliland.
Oh, Somaliland.
Mm.
Hmm.
So we see this week where Israel gave a statement where they're saying that they're recognizing Somaliland as a sovereign entity.
Hmm.
What are the views on that?
Well, Somaliland claimed that
But
they had independence before Somalia from 1960, and most African countries which got independence in 1962. So they welcome the idea that the world can see them as an independent country and not a part of Somalia, and following the rhetoric, because what people know about Somaliland is what Somalia has been saying about them, because Somalia has refused to let Somaliland go, and it caused a bit of problem the other day when they decided to lease a part of the coast to Ethiopia to develop a naval port on the coast. So it almost started a war in that region. But the people are excited for the recognition, and they are jubilant for the recognition, because at least, a country start recognizing. But the deep significance of this is why is this happening? That is the question I would like to know. Why is this happening at this time? Why has Israel made this move?
It's a
What
means of
is
justification.
behind what? Huh?
It's a means of justification.
For what? What are they
It,
justifying?
they're justifying their position in the Middle East, in Palestine, because it's almost a similar settings where they would be the Somaliland there. So if they can verify that Somaliland is also a sovereign nation, then it justifies their actions because they're fighting for their sovereignty.
But here's the thing, too, right? When we look at Somaliland, especially, right? And hey, you've been they've been ruling that territory or been in governance, right? Since what, 1991 or something, right? Like that. They've
That's
been
when the break
self,
off took place. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, self rule, self govern. since 1991. But yet, the African Union has never recognized them as being separate from Somalia. And the question becomes, well, why is this? Why and rightfully so, Yaga, why does Israel recognize them before the African Union does? What prevents the African Union from recognizing them? And who gives Israel the authority to even recognize or be involved in saying, hey, this country is now declared or is being recognized as a country outside of the African Union initiative. What how does that work?
Yeah, them
How,
notice almost every single conflict that go on the earth right now, for some reason or some part, Israel seem to
mm,
have a part in all of them.
mm,
The name Israel come up in all of the conflict them. And this is just one more where you see them ugly head, it in one more conflict again. You know what I mean? So Somaliland, they are the Somali people, right? The Somali people, they stretch from Somalia, some part of Ethiopia, and I think they also extend into Kenya, right? And but they were broken up because I think Somaliland was controlled by that part was controlled
British
by the British,
by the
right?
British
And Somalia was controlled by the Italians.
by the
Yes.
exactly.
Italians. So
Yeah.
that way we see the colonialism,
Mm-hmm.
colonization playing a part,
Playing a part.
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they break up that ethnic group, you know what I mean? And now, you know what I
Right.
mean, they make a division there. But
And then unified.
Somalia, the people of Somalia, their goal is to unify all the Somali people, right? And that's why they have some little issues with Ethiopia because some of the Somali people also in Ethiopia. I think some is also in Kenya too. That's why they have the issue. That's why you see Ethiopia having dialogue with Somaliland, and they have a little conflict there, right? But no, this is the first country that I think recognizing Somaliland.
Somaliland.
No
Right.
country, no country before this has ever recognized them. Everybody see that as
And
part of
why? What
Somalia.
gives Israel that authority to even recognize a, a, a country like Somaliland? What does Israel have to do with African affairs, for example? What
And
what gives them this voice?
as I was saying before, for some reason, Israel find themselves in every single conflict that's going on in the world. You find, and as that I was saying, they're trying to legitimize themselves. They try to legitimize by themselves by. So what they want to do now is infiltrate. What my opinion, they want to infiltrate the Arab world because not the Arab world, the Muslim world
Mm,
by
mm,
what I mean creating division in the Muslim
mm,
world,
mm.
right? Because if a Somaliland can recognize Israel because they do the same thing in Morocco where they recognize that um West Sahara is a part of Morocco. In return,
Right.
Morocco recognized that Israel, recognize Israel. So I'm
Mm,
guessing this is going to be the same thing. They recognize Somaliland and Somaliland recognize them. But these things are just going to cause more conflict. You know what I mean? So they go around doing these things and causing conflict. They do the same thing with the Christians and Muslim in Nigeria. You know what I mean? Them head, them raise them head in Venezuela. Everywhere you see talks of Israel raising them head just to legitimize themselves in a place where they're not supposed to be. So
Tariq A. Blackwood 4244 has left a comment saying that they've heard that Cabin Airlines are no longer flying to America right now. He doesn't know
they,
if this
they
is true.
did.
Have you heard any reports
They,
of this?
they had stopped a lot of fight. KLM
Airspace, airspace
JetBlue.
was closed.
Yeah, the space was closed.
So
I don't know if it reopened now.
was it because the airspace was closed, or was it because this was a conscious decision on the part of the airline to stand in solidarity with the Venezuelan people to say they're not flying these routes?
No, I think the
No. Okay.
airspace itself
So it was
was,
primarily as a result of the closed airspace.
I believe so. I believe there was some type of thing sent out, some kind
Yeah,
of
most
policy.
airlines kind of cancel
Let me
flight to
see, I'll find
Venezuela
it.
at that
I
time. Because I
read it,
remember,
you know.
yeah,
Mm. Okay. All right. So I hope that responds to you, Tariq,
because
in
I think
Blackwood.
I saw Mia Matley put out a statement, and she was also saying that there was no flight from Barbados to Venezuela.
Yeah, yeah.
That yeah.
Okay. Well, it's another eventful week. The year started off with a bang, literally. Um, so we're gonna keep our eyes on this. We're gonna focus and see where this leads, and keep our fingers to the pulse to see what goes on. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your continued support. And we look forward to joining you again when we have another session of the Perfect Balance Strat class. Give thanks Okavango. Give thanks Bingi. Give
Yeah,
thanks
give thanks for
Yaga,
life.
aka Teacher
Yes,
Ma'at.
I.
I'm your Stada, and this has been another episode of the Perfect Balance Strat class. Aile.
Yeah.